Predicting that we're going to see the police too as I go to the store today. See if I'm right. Yep. See, right as I go by. So you saw the one guy come out there immediately, and then you see them over there getting in right as they go by. See, I was flawlessly timed there too, right as I got across from them. And then the guy comes out, walks across right as I'm coming up before, and then right as I'm directly across from them, they're going into the cars. So, while it's true there's plausible deniability with that stuff, in terms of, yeah, they're doing it on their property, if you show them doing it over and over again continually, people can see that it's all being done in coordination. So that doesn't mean that that's something that you're going to utilize in court or something like that, but it does mean you can certainly put it out there to show what these people are doing. So that's why they tend to rotate with a lot of different people in doing it. Last year they had that one house that would do it all the time. So you can see on the left here, they got the dog walker slowly making her way to the vehicle as they come down. Yeah, we're going to see the cops today. I'm predicting that as well. Keep in mind, it's just 8 a.m. on Sunday, so very early. There was a very short period, like 3 weeks, when I first moved back here, when they cut it off on this street here. Now they're way back, well back to it. So the question you need to ask is, why is it there's so many people? Like when you look on YouTube, they would lead you to believe that there are a lot of people dealing with this stuff, right? So if there are that many of them, why is it that those people don't unify and attempt to utilize the legal system and activism in a real way to spread information about this and to try and take some sort of legal action? And the answer to that question, I believe, is that there aren't nearly as many real people who this is happening to. At least as many as they would lead you to believe. They have flooded these sites with actors. And again, some of those people will give you some legitimate stuff. They have to, right? Because they know the stuff that those of us who are real are going through. So in order to discredit, they have to show the real things that you're going through, then put it with somebody who can be used to discredit, or somebody who is kind of credible, but mixes in bits of disinfo. So that's why it's very, very difficult to have any sort of unified situation where people expose this stuff on a wide-scale level, I believe. nonetheless, I'm doing my best to do that. And you can see they got the streetwalkers out here already on Sunday morning here. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna see the cops, probably some bikers as well. You can't, like, meeting a real person, a real targeted person, is like finding a needle in a haystack, right? Now they're out there, but a lot of them, I believe a lot of them are either the ones who know about it, who know what's going on, know what it is, are intimidated to become active in trying to expose it and putting material up. They worry about what will happen to them. There are people out there who say things like, I believe these people are shills, who put up things like, if you put videos up, it'll just get worse for you. They may up the ante in terms of the stalking, but they do that because they know that if you present it in an effective way, that it does expose you. So that's why they up the ante in the stalking. So a lot of the people who say that, like, and maybe they believe that because there is some truth to that, right? There is some truth to that. That it will get worse if you upload videos of it. I fully agree with that. It will get worse in terms of they'll ramp it up. But that is because if you're real and you're exposing it in a semi-dignified way, that it has a negative effect on them. That it is effective to some extent. They don't want you to think it is. If you understand psychological operations, demoralization is huge. It plays a huge aspect. It plays a huge role in psychological operations. And if you feel demoralized, if you feel that no matter what you do, it's not having any effect, then you're going to cease with that type of activism and just say, well, whatever, you know, I can't fight against this in any way. I'll just accept it and lie back and let it consume me. And that is a dangerous attitude to take. If you're familiar with the term learned helplessness, that's what that is. Learned helplessness means you just accept the situation that is happening to you, even if it's horrendous, and you just, if you try to fight back, you know, it'll just get worse for you. So you're better to just, you know, lie back and just let it happen. That's not a good mindset to fall into. That's a dangerous mindset to fall into, and that's what they want for you, right? Because most of the operation is psychological, and so demoralization is huge in this. That's what they want you to believe. They also want you to believe that there's a huge amount of people, huge community. Let me tell you, almost all of those communities, if there are any real people who join them, and there probably are real people who go to those communities looking to, you know, find people who this is really happening to, they're all infiltrated, those communities, fully infiltrated. For every one real targeted person who goes into those quote-unquote communities, they're probably outnumbered 20 to 1, easily. And some of the people there will be very kind and friendly to you. And they will seem like they're legit. Sometimes for a certain period of time, they'll lead you to believe that they are until they let you know. So that's what makes this very complex, in that to the outsider, they would think, well, if this is really going on, why don't those people just get together and raise awareness of it in a unified, cohesive way? And the answer is because there aren't nearly as many people who they're doing it to, eh? There are a lot out there, but a lot of the people don't know it. They haven't awakened to it, right? And those are the people who it can really have a negative effect on. Those are the people who sometimes they can drive to suicide. Very sad, but so it's better off to wake up to it and know what it is. I also believe, in my opinion, it is harmful to use the term gang stalking. I know there are people who've used it for a long time, and you know that's just the term you use. That's fine. I understand it. I'm not bashing that. I'm just saying now, for me, I don't use that term because when you do a search for that, look at what comes up for the most part. Like when I do a search for that, even now, like the only one who I see who puts out real material is the guy from Vancouver. And he uses that term, but he puts out real material. That's authentic. There's the police at the intersection there. That is authentic, what he's showing you. That's the real deal of what happens in this country. Now, there's a few small channels I've seen who seem to do that as well on YouTube. But they get shadow banned, right? So, but everything else is just, for the most part, there's a few, like that Dr. X channel, he hasn't uploaded in like 4 years. He kind of has some Masonic symbolism on his, with his stuff, and he also mentions that he supports Trump and all this, which is, he's way too smart to not know that the political system's rigged. Nonetheless, the material he's put out is excellent. that guy really exposes the program, and you would do well to check out his videos if you haven't already yet. He has various different ones on the program. Very insightful, and he's speaking truth, because I know that because the things he's talking about, I've seen so much of it myself. So you see this guy, he just walked up here and then paced over to the one area, and now he's walking back the other direction. Surveillance role players out. The cops appeared way down the street there. They'll probably show up again when I come out. I don't know if it's 8. So yep. Another way you can tell there are so many of these people are phonies. They don't offer real solutions, and they don't really engage in activism in terms of exposing it, like what I'm doing with planning to file complaints and requesting freedom of information from CSIS, because CSIS is the organization that's responsible for it in this country. Now, don't get me wrong, let's not be naive. CSIS is essentially a controlled offshoot of the CIA, who have control worldwide, and who are essentially responsible for pulling the strings in this operation worldwide. So they've infiltrated everywhere, and that's why you see we're on the verge of this one world communist dictatorship. Anyway. Another thing they'll have is they'll have the people who they have as the posing as TIs. A lot of them will show Masonic symbolism if you look close enough, like their avatars and things like that. But another thing I noticed is there's the biker, first biker of the day there coming out to stalk there from the station there. Gonna do a U-turn? No. Okay. So he works with the police, that guy there, to stalk. So they'll have them be very like antagonistic towards the stalkers who they show, and towards the cops, like insulting them and stuff, like swearing at them continually. That just makes you look childish, and that's the whole point of it. That's why they do that. They'll have them like using continued profanity against the people who are doing it. Those are 100% shills who are put out to discredit. You don't sit there and openly insult people like that. You just get the footage. Those people are put out to discredit the real people who this is happening to, and you can quickly tell who they are too. So 2 of the bikers there showing up to stalk, harass, and intimidate as I get my groceries, and the police showing up just the intersection, not as close today. A little bit more plausible deniability with that because it was at a distance. But yeah, it's a short jaunt for today. And as I come back here, they'll have some nonsense lined up here. Probably have one of the tenants come out. See the car waiting here, guy waiting. He's going to pull away probably as I pass. Waiting in there. Surveillance role player there. Not going to say anything as I turn down here. Let's record. A lot of foam too. regarding this person who they sent out, who they usually often send here. This other tenant who they send to do stalking activities, opening and closing the door when I exit, going out into the kitchen the moment I arrive home. What they've done is, a few months back, the landlord told me he was going to be renting out some of the units in the upper level of the house because he was moving out. So I asked him, I said, I'd be interested in one of those ones upstairs because this person is right here. And obviously for a reason in the unit right next to mine, they've had her put in here, right? So I asked him this, and then he said, yeah, we can do that. But then it was moved up by a few months, so he didn't move. He didn't decide to rent those units out. So last week, he told me it was available. One of the units was available, and he said it's available, but this person here, next to mine, miraculously wants to move up there too, because of course the people who run the program had given her, they told her, okay, he's going to be moving up there. We want you up there where he is, so you can do these things. So this person's requesting it, and then she also, she said to the landlord, she's got a bunch of family members who are moving here who she wants to move into. So this is what they do, right? They have these people who they bring in as immigrants, pay for their accommodation, and then utilize them in these operations. And it's not just me saying this. There's a lot of information that you can look at, and others saying that they do these things, others who are in the know. So they will exploit people who are new immigrants, offer them free accommodation, and if they partake in the activities, they'll set them up in a place like this, which is relatively inexpensive, and then they'll offer them the opportunity, if they do a good job and if they do their job properly, to have their relatives in whatever third world country or wherever come over as well. So this is what they've done with this person who they used to do these activities against me, to stalk me, to do same time exit entry while living here. They've offered this person, intentionally obviously, the opportunity to bring these family members over. And then when I request the unit upstairs, which I wanted to move to get away from this person, that person abruptly says they want that unit, and all of a sudden they have a bunch of family members who they want all the other units in the one upstairs as well. So pretty obvious what's going on there. And you could see this morning too as I came in. So we'll upload that and we'll get that up. But yeah, very obvious. And it's well known that is, whether it's CSIS who does that type of thing or whether it's an outside source, I'm not sure, but going back many years in communist activities, that is well known that they would bring in people. The Stasi would do that too, right? Bring in people and utilize them, immigrants, and utilize them in that manner, right? And dangle a carrot in front of them. And obviously, if you're in one of those, those third world countries, you're going to want to do whatever you can to get out of there. Slamming stuff down out there. You're going to want to do anything you can to get out of there, right? So they have no problem doing these activities. It doesn't matter if it's, whatever. They're putting that aside, putting their conscience aside, and agreeing to partake in these things. So you can hear the door closing there after I've gone in here. So yeah, so that's what it is. So it's interesting because right after I requested that to go upstairs, this person requests to move a bunch of family members in all the other units up there. So if I did go up there, it'd be that person and a bunch of family members, and you can pretty much tell that same time exit entry would happen 24/7. It already does, right? So anyway.